Live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, it's time for the Exit Exchange, brought to you by XPX Atlanta, dedicated to changing the trajectory of exit planning services in the Southeast. Now, here's your host.
Hello again, everyone. John Ray here. Welcome again to the Exit Exchange, and this is going to be a good one. We've got Scott Ward with us, and I'll introduce Scott in a moment. But I just want to remind you that this show, the Exit Exchange, is brought to you by the Atlanta chapter of the Exit Planning Exchange. And this group is a diverse group of professionals with one common goal: to work collaboratively to assist business owners with a sale or business transition. It's an association of advisors who provide professionalism, principles, and education to those business owners that need to get to a successful exit. If you'd like to know more, go to xpxatlanta.org and join us. I think you'll be glad you did. And speaking of joining, we're speaking with Scott Ward, and Scott is an active, very active member of XPX Atlanta. Scott, welcome.
Good morning, John. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. First of all, let's talk a little bit about your day job, as it were, and give everyone an introduction to you, and then we'll get into why XPX.
Sure. So, John, I'm a commercial real estate broker here in Atlanta, and our business is ITRA Global Atlanta. So we're the Atlanta chapter of International Tenant Representatives Alliance. And so we exclusively represent businesses looking to lease or purchase, or investors to purchase property. We feel like it's a conflict of interest for us to represent properties and to represent businesses looking for those properties. But I really enjoy helping businesses protect their cash flow, increase their cash flow, and get a better lease, not just an address, but really represent them, the business, in what can be a substantial part of their P&L or balance sheet.
You mentioned this, Scott, like it's this conflict is something that's common. Is this common in the industry or not common? Say more about that.
In any real estate transaction, a broker could have listings representing properties, and then will help represent a business looking for property. So it's just natural that they might prefer showing the property that they list and have more of a, hey, come look at my property that I list and I'll represent you too. And in all openness, they have to disclose that, okay, this is a property that I own. But we just decided not even to try to deal with that. So we represent businesses renting, leasing, warehouse and office space. We've got some retail clients, restaurants, but we love doing that.
Maybe, I guess the way to say it is your clients know they've got 100% mind share.
That's true.
Yeah.
We are 100% getting out there in front and representing you, the business, to get you the best deal and sculpt that lease in a creative way, or that buy-sale contract in the way that benefits you, the business.
Now, you've been a member of XPX for 4 years now, as I understand. Mm-hmm. Why XPX for you?
I was introduced to XPX by the way I sold my business, actually.
Okay.
And I was on a panel, and I realized this was a great group of professionals that I really wish I'd known about when I was trying to sell my business. And with the sale of businesses, there is many times there's some commercial real estate aspects to it, partnerships or leases that need to be transferred. So I lend my expertise to this, as you said in the beginning, a diverse group of professionals helping businesses transition. So I work on the commercial real estate side of business transitions.
And you're a great example, I would think, of a member in XPX and there are quite a few disciplines that this description fits, but a member in XPX whose work is really important as a business owner prepares years in advance for an exit, right? You have got to get, leases are a long-term commitment that you've got to make sure to get those right as you think ahead to an exit, right?
We just had a great lunch, and we meet up the Buckhead Club once a month, and the aspect of that, the real goal of all of our meetings is that we do have fun, but we want every person and attendee to come away with a tangible takeaway that they can use with their clients that very next day or that afternoon. And we just had a meeting that was all focused on risk, all the different kinds of things that can pop up. It can be as simple as copier contracts or gets into liabilities on software contracts that are not transferable. And to your point, we have, M&A people, we've got wealth managers, we've got attorneys that focus specifically on business transition, CPAs that focus specifically on this. And my eyes just were blown wide open, and I'm really proud to be a member and, again, help businesses build their value before transition. Because if you do wait, and that was actually how I got on the panel, I tried to sell my business and it wouldn't sell. And I'm like, I listed it with business brokers and they really just wanted a listing. Those folks are generally not in XPX. The people in XPX want to build that value in there for a long-term benefit. But I realized it was my problem. And so I had to back off. And like when you're selling a house and the agent comes in and says, rearrange the furniture, paint that wall, get rid of that flooring in the bedroom or the bathroom. That's what you need to do to your business. And XPX is a cadre of experts that will help you groom and prune your business so that it will sell. And it's really invigorating meetings that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that meeting, and that's a great example of what XPX does, is not just bring the advisors, but bring the business owners in to talk about their experiences and where they wish they'd had a advisor that had done whatever for them, and then they did have an advisor in this particular aspect of their business and how that helped.
Yeah, and there's a huge emotional side of selling a business. We've got experts in XPX that deal with nothing but the human resource side of, are all your sales coming from one salesperson in your sales team? Or are they coming from 25, 30% of your sales coming from one client? So those are risks. As a buyer, you're looking at that. As a seller, you're going, what do you mean? My business is great, it's running. And so there are certain processes as well. So we have process experts. And if you are in any of these industries and you want to get better, XPX is the place, because that is our focus. Our focus is to help everybody get better at their job.
Now, before we came on, we were sitting here chatting about the number one goal is, as you said, to get better, and it's not to network per se. Yeah. Explain what you mean by that.
So there are tons and tons of places you can go hand out cards, and they're fantastic. There's
assuming handing out cards really works, but anyway, that's another matter.
It's a consistency, right? Any marketing and branding of ourselves as business professionals takes consistencies. Chamber of Commerce, different places that we do these networking, and then they're great. That's their number one focus. XPX's number one focus is for us as professionals in the business of business transitions, for us to help get better at those friction points that we run into. As a CPA, you have run into issues that maybe you did it once 3 or 4 years ago, but things have changed. There's probably another CPA that just did it that's in XPX, and you can exchange stories with, same thing with a wealth manager, same thing with an attorney in real estate. So at XPX, our meetings are focused on, and on all our gatherings are focused on sharpening our knife a little bit better by learning from each other. So our roundtables are set up so that you're not the same industry. You don't have the same exact industry at your table.
Explain the roundtables. What you mean by that?
So during our luncheons, of course, we all sit down at tables. They happen to be round, and we have a panel a lot of times. The panel will be interviewed and whatever the topic is. And then we will take those topics and several questions about them and debate them and exchange ideas and experiences. And that's what's really, I love that experience sharing around our table.
Right.
And come up with recommendations or enlightening issues that we learn from each other. We'll stand up after about 15 minutes and share those with the rest of the room. And it's super interesting to learn what you learn from all the people around your table and from the other tables.
And the seating at the tables is deliberately managed among industry, or I should say knowledge, expertise, right?
Yes.
A accounting person at every table, but not more than one at every table, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I wasn't very clear. So
No,
thanks
that's
for
okay.
straightening that out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you hear different people's perspective, different professionals and their perspectives
Yes.
on the same topic. And that's pretty interesting.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
Because as a commercial real estate professional, I'm not dealing with CPA numbers. I'm not dealing with wealth management. I'm not the new tax law that came out that enables the transition of a business and setting up trusts in a certain way. But now I know those things, or at least I know enough to recommend someone who knows it in my XPX family. I have now provided amazing value to my commercial real estate clients. And they see me in a real enlightened way as, wow, Scott Ward's got it going on. Scott Ward knows this whole network of professionals that is helping my business. In fact, he invited me to a lunch at XPX, and it was awesome. So I'll recommend other business owners that I know to Scott just because of his network at XPX.
Now, you mentioned this before we came on the air about bringing clients to the XPX lunches and recommending different professionals, different disciplines. And a lot of professionals that we know would never do that.
Yeah.
Never do that. So why is it that doing that kind of work for your clients, why is that so important to you?
It is a tangible relationship building moment. When you take the time to invite a client to go to lunch, we all do that. But what's special about this lunch? It's pure giving. It's pure generosity on my part to take them and share with them. They may be 10 years away from selling their business or 15 years, but just that they have an inkling of, oh, okay, I do need to, there are ways I could be grooming my business now.
Right.
That will enhance its value, enhance its cash flow, so that when I do get to an inclination point in my business, I need to get another SBA loan, or I want to bring in partners, or I'm trying to buy another business to grow my business. I've increased my EBITDA that the bank's going to look at, or all because I went to lunch with Scott Ward at XPX, and he introduced me to a business coach. And this business coach is all about building the value of my business, or helping me figure out my employee situation so I'm not stuck.
Yeah, this is really good, because what you're saying, another way to say it, is that what you're doing is positioning yourself as a professional of value that goes beyond just your subject matter expertise. You're positioning yourself, and I'm speaking for you now, so correct me if I'm wrong.
Bring it on, I'm loving it. You got it.
But you're in a business where it's a long tail relationship situation. You meet somebody that's 1 year into a 6-year lease or something like that. It's going to be a while before they need your services. But if you've got the opportunity to position yourself as a professional value in their mind, and you're a resource to them in that intervening time, guess who they're going to call later? That's the idea, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you just never know where situations bring themselves. That 6-year lease is fine until 2.5 years into it, you realize we're growing out of it. or my business has changed as far as distribution for my product, or I'm a tech company and I need to be in a different part of the city and I need to get out of this lease.
Right.
Scott Ward will help you sublease it, and he'll help us roll that into another proper place that we can grow our business better. So anyway, that really fires me up when I can see a business grow, because I am one of the few commercial real estate professionals. Like I said at the beginning, I owned a business and sold a business. I sold it on the second time around because the first time I wasn't ready to sell, but XPX enlightened me. I was like, oh, it's me.
Yeah.
It's my problem. I'm the one responsible for getting this business ready to sell. And by selling it properly, now I can help other businesses.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. This is so valuable, because what you're saying is you're using XPX to give value first to your client, with a spirit of generosity and just meeting clients where they need the help today, even if that doesn't benefit you in the short run.
Exactly. You couldn't have said it better. It's awesome. Yes, it's part of the Scott Ward brand. My brand as a commercial real estate it's more than about finding an address. We're here to where do you want to be with your business in 3 to 8 years?
Folks, we're chatting with Scott Ward. Scott is a commercial real estate professional here in the Atlanta area, and Scott is also the social lubricant of XPX. Is that a good title for you?
Sure.
Okay.
Sometimes all you need is a drop of lubricant to make that whole thing. And so I do have a good time. I've been on the sponsorship committee.
Okay.
And I've been on the membership committee now most recently. And as a part of membership, we have some social good times. And every time we get together is a social good time. But there's a focus, right? And that's what makes it fun to come to a gathering.
Right.
So whether you come to our Buckhead Club monthly luncheons, where it's a little more formal and a larger crowd, or you can come to our social summer cocktail hour or holiday gathering. I try to provide a little bit of a learning moment. This last time we had a workshop exercise I learned from a improvisational group workshop that I had just done. And so it was a lot of fun to throw that out there on the membership.
Yeah, I was there. You definitely threw a curveball for everyone, but it was a fun curveball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. XPX is all about having some fun and getting better at our business.
Well, let's talk about the having fun piece of it. So it really takes a little bit of, in a good way, the formality out of it. Whatever veneer folks have when they show up, it helps people come across each other as real. And at the end of the day, that's really what it's about. It makes it much more
break down a few barriers.
Break down a few barriers, and it makes it easier to collaborate.
Yeah, absolutely. When you've been slightly embarrassed maybe in front of some folks, then just, okay, let's just go for it.
Yeah.
Embrace it.
That's right.
And now I'm like, I don't feel so bad about calling up and saying, oh yeah, I'm the guy that forgot your name. Oh, now I remember you.
Yeah,
I didn't listen very well during that listening.
That's right. That's right. But actually we may have to describe what we're talking about for those that weren't there. But what you did was also had some education to it.
Correct. Yeah.
Describe what that was.
So basically, everyone goes around and introduces themselves. Hell, I'm Scott Ward. Hi, you're John Ray. But when you do that, you exchange names. And now you are Scott Ward and I'm John Ray. And we turn and introduce ourselves to someone else. And again, swap names.
Right.
So I introduce myself as John Ray, and there's Carol Smith. And now I'm Carol Smith and she's John Ray. And the whole idea is that everyone goes around the room continuing that until you finally are reintroduced to yourself. And then you get to quit.
I'm not sure anybody got around back to themselves.
There were a couple people twice, I think. There were two Scott Wards running around.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But what happens is we realize we're not listening. And there's that whole little mini proverb that came out of somewhere. God gave us 2 ears and one mouth. But we're so focused on trying to solve a problem and we're not listening to what the person's actually saying, because we want to be so professional and on point and impressive to how I can help solve your problem. We're already thinking about what we're going to say, and you may not have really vetted out what the real friction point is with this relationship business issue that your client is having, or a potential client that you're trying to woo a bit. Listening was the point of that exercise. It was a lot of fun.
And to your point, it certainly is about having fun, which we did that night. We had a lot of fun. But it's also, as you said, it's about getting better. And so that lesson, which we can always stand reinforcement of and reminder of, to listen with those 2 ears, you brought that reminder, and I think helped everybody that attended to get a little better that night.
Yeah. I just stood up and said, everyone raise your hand who forgot a name just as you heard it.
Everybody's hands went up,
forgot
right?
who you were.
Yeah. Yeah. We all had that in common. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. That was terrific. Now, one of the things that you also do is there's an Experience XPX meeting every month.
It's a Zoom.
It's a Zoom. And describe what that meeting is, what that's all about for those that don't know, and what you do.
Sure.
Outside of that meeting after it's over.
Sure. So Experience XPX, you can go online to XPX Atlanta and sign up. It's a Zoom, and you can it's about 40 minutes or so to an hour. Tim Templeton, typically, he's one of our members, great guy. He typically runs it, but sometimes it's someone else. And the whole idea gives you an overview of what XPX is. Nice, easy, simple. You don't have to get out of your office and come to a meeting to figure it out. I will follow up I'll get an email from Tim as to the participants, and I will give you a personal phone call and get your feedback. From that feedback, we learn a lot at XPX about how we're doing and how we come across, and to make sure you're thinking about us with the right attitude, because you're trying to improve your business. You have limited funds, you have limited finances, you have limited time, and we want to be efficient. So we want you to come to XPX understanding that it's not about going around the room handing out cards and networking.
Right.
Networking will happen. That's the gravy and the cherry on top, or whatever you want to call it. But we are very focused on helping our clients by helping each other get better.
Right.
So I'll follow up. That's what I do on that as part of the membership.
Yeah. Wow. Great work, Scott. So as we draw things to a close here, those that are considering an XPX membership, or those that are in XPX and want to make it work better for them, what do you recommend? So
I know you can't make every meeting. And that's why we have a variety of different ways, whether it's our after-hour social, we'll have get-togethers before for breakfast or for a coffee and croissants or whatever. And then we also have our breakout mastermind, which we just started this year, which is a smaller group, but we all get together consistently for either lunch or breakfast. I think right now we've got 3 or 4 mastermind groups going. And so those are a variety of ways that come together as a big group, and there's ways to break out as smaller groups and really build your relationship, as well as, like anything, getting on a committee and kind of participating that way too.
Yeah, sure. And that's the power of this group is not the numbers, but the quality.
Correct.
Don't you think?
Yes.
That's what I've noticed anyway. There are other groups that may or may not be similar or claim to be similar that have a lot bigger membership, but the quality of the interaction is...
John, I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah, it is a whole lot less.
I had forgotten about that, but that's a really good point that I've told myself about, as a matter of fact, that everybody, and when someone's new or hasn't shown up in a while, it's key.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have, I don't know, what is it, 110 to 150, somewhere in there?
Somewhere in there. Maria's going to chastise us for not knowing the number, but we'll do better next time, Maria.
But it's a good group. And we are affiliated with our XPX chapters around the country. We're growing. And so we do have cross-chapter Zoom meetings. And I know there's some people that have done some business cross-chapter and helped each other in different cities.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful point, and we'll let it go. But it's worth emphasizing that it's not just about the chapter, although it is, but it's about that cross-chapter collaboration that the organization itself encourages and facilitates.
And one thing that just popped in my head, I know we have our big conference, the first conference that XPX has had, and it's open to anyone and everyone, the public, and you can go on to xpxatlanta.org and look at it's in November, and we will have a full day breakfast and meetings and workshops and breakout groups and lots of great learning and networking all day long.
That's terrific.
It's at the Cobb Gallery.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one, folks. Make sure and check that out at the XPX Atlanta website, xpxatlanta.org, and the tab there is easy to find, and you can check it out there. Scott Ward from ITRA Global, he's a corporate real estate specialist there. Scott, thanks again for coming on.
John, thank you. This has been awesome.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much. It's always fun with you. So thank you for that. Yeah, that's your committee, I think. You're chair of the fun committee at XPX. I like that.
Bring it.
Hey, folks, just another reminder that this show, The Exit Exchange, is brought to you by the Atlanta chapter of the Exit Planning Exchange. And the vision of XPX Atlanta is to fundamentally change the trajectory of exit planning services in the southeastern United States and beyond. XPX Atlanta delivers a collaborative-based networking exchange with broad representation of numerous exit planning competencies. To learn more about XPX Atlanta and why you should join this great community, go to xpxatlanta.org. So for my guest, Scott Ward, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on the Exit Exchange.